In this presentation, we will discuss what will be covered in the Cash, Bank Reconciliations, and Cash Internal Controls course. We're currently in the overview section of the course. If we scroll through the overview section, we'll see that there are currently 70 lectures with 9.5 hours of instructional video. This could change as time passes. We are now in the course content section of the course. We can see that the content is broken out by section. As we look through the sections, we see that there's not an even amount of material in each section. It will differ based on the content that will be covered, but there will be similarities in that we will typically have PDF files to be downloaded. We can walk through those PDF files and use them for the instructional videos. We will typically have a discussion question at the end of the sections, the discussion questions going over the information in an open-ended format so that students can get feedback not only from instructor, but see how this information would be put in context from other students. We'll also have Excel downloads that we can then download information and work through problems in Excel, putting what we learn into a practical format in the Excel sheet. We will typically have an Excel sheet that will be pre-formatted, one with the answer that you can actually see the information completed on, and then another sheet where you can go through and work the problem. We're also going to have the multiple choice questions, and that's going to be in video format, but they will be multiple choice questions that you can go through and learn, practice, test taking skills, see how this information would be put into the context of a short multiple choice type question. Finally, we'll have key definitions, which will go over some of the key terms of the course and give some context for those key terms as well. Now we'll take a look at what will be covered briefly just in terms of the section headings. First, we have the introduction section, and that will be this. And then we've got the internal controls overview and cash internal controls introduction. We're going to be discussing what internal controls are. Cash internal controls are a great introduction to internal controls in general. And so we'll talk about just an overview of what internal controls are. Then we'll apply them specifically and start to apply them to cash, apply those principles to cash. Next, we're going to go to the cash receipts internal controls, focusing specifically on internal controls as they relate to cash receipts. Then we'll move to cash disbursements internal controls, focusing specifically on internal controls related to cash disbursements. Then we'll take a look at the bank reconciliations. This is going to be a huge internal controls and one of the major focuses of the course here, because the bank reconciliation, whether we talk about a large organization or a sole proprietor, is very important. It's one of those internal controls that we can put in place at any level of or size of the organization and industry. And it's a control over not only cash, but many other areas because every cycle within the accounting process deals with cash in one way or another. In other words, the sales cycle, the accounts payable cycle, and the payroll cycle all deal with cash. So by us double checking cash with the bank reconciliation, it really helps us to get more security about what is going on, about whether or not everything has been recorded. So we'll put some focus there. Then we have the petty cash. We'll talk about how to set up the petty cash fund, how to track the petty cash fund. It seems like an easy thing, but it's a little bit more complicated than we may think at first glance. Talk about how much petty cash we may want to set up in the petty cash fund, how to set up that petty cash fund and record it, and how to record expenses at the end of each month for the petty cash fund. Then we'll have the comprehensive problem. That's going to be a comprehensive problem related to the accounting cycle. So as we zoom in, all these topics are different topics, in this case cash. We also want to zoom back out and take a look at how that fits into the big picture, the big goal, that being the generation of the financial statements. So the comprehensive problem will go into recording normal journal entries, posting them to the general ledger, creating the trial balance, doing the adjusting entry process, doing the financial statements, and the closing process. Always want to take a step back, look at it with new eyes and these comprehensive problems, and see how, as we go through this information, we may be concentrating or doing things differently for the internal control system for cash, or how cash would fit in to the system specifically in relation to other journal entries as well, rather than focusing in on just the cash transaction. Really important to take that step back. Then we'll take a look at the definitions and key terms. The definitions and key terms will, of course, give definitions and key terms related to the topic of internal controls and bank reconciliations and cash. However, we also want to go through it. It will give information in context as well. So you really want to watch through here and not just use it if you have a question about a key term, because one, you want to know what the key terms are in general. And two, it's going to give some context of the key terms, so it'll really give some added information as well, just in general for this topic. So it's important just to watch through it just like you would with any other presentation section.